67,000 people left Miami-Dade County last year. That is the headline. And if you've been thinking about moving to Miami, or if you already live here, that number probably got your attention. So I want to talk about it honestly. Not the version that makes Miami sound perfect, and not the version designed to scare you. Because the real story is much more interesting than the headline. Yes, people are leaving, but people are also moving here. And the people who are staying, buying, and building their lives here right now are usually not doing it by accident. They are a specific type of buyer, a specific type of professional, a specific type of investor. So today, I want to break down what is actually happening, why people are leaving, who is staying, and whether Miami still makes sense in 2026. I'm Milton Andrade with Polaris Advisors at Compass. I've been helping people buy and sell real estate in Miami for over 20 years. And on this channel, Miami Living with Milton, my goal is to give you the real conversation. So let's get into it. Before we talk about why people left, we need to put the number in context, because 67,000 people leaving sounds dramatic, and it is significant. But Miami-Dade County has over 2.8 million people. So 67,000 people represents a little over 2% of the county population. That matters, but it is not the whole story, because during that same period, Miami-Dade also received a major wave of international migration. People came from Latin America, from Europe, from other parts of the world, and from high-tax states across the country. So the headline says people are leaving, but the fuller picture is this: Miami is not emptying out. Miami is sorting. That is a better way to understand it. And if you're thinking about moving here, that distinction matters. So let's start with the first real reason people are leaving: affordability and insurance. This is the one nobody can ignore. Miami has become expensive. Housing is expensive. Rent is expensive. Insurance is expensive. Car insurance is expensive. HOA fees can be expensive. And private school can also be expensive. It all adds up. And for a lot of people, the cost of living simply caught up with them. This is especially true for people who moved here during the pandemic years, thinking Miami would be a cheaper alternative to New York, California, or Chicago. And in some ways it was. No state income tax is meaningful. The lifestyle is attractive. The weather is better for most people. The energy is different. But that does not mean Miami is cheap. And that is where some people got surprised. They did not fully calculate the full cost of ownership. And the full cost includes more than the mortgage or rent. It includes property taxes, homeowners insurance, flood insurance in certain areas, car insurance, parking, HOA fees, special assessments, utilities, maintenance, and if you have kids, possibly private school. When you put all of that together, Miami can be a very expensive place to live. And if your income doesn't match the market, it can start to feel impossible. This is why some people left. Not because Miami is a bad city, but because the math no longer worked for them. And I think we need to be honest about that. Miami is increasingly becoming a market that rewards strong income, strong liquidity, and long-term planning. If someone is making $60,000, $70,000, or $80,000 a year and trying to live in the most desirable parts of Miami, the pressure is real. But for high-income professional, entrepreneur, executive, or investor coming from a high-tax state, the calculation can look very different. But you have to understand the full number, not just the home price. The full number. That is where people either make a smart move or a very expensive mistake. So the first group leaving Miami is the affordability group. People who liked Miami, maybe even loved Miami, but could not justify the cost anymore. Now, the second group is very different: remote workers. During the pandemic, Miami became a magnet for remote workers. People could live anywhere, so they chose Miami. And honestly, I understand why. If your job is in New York, San Francisco, and suddenly you can work from a condo in Brickell, a house in Coconut Grove, or an apartment in Edgewater, that's super attractive. You get the sunshine, no state income tax, restaurants, water, an international city, a completely different lifestyle. But then return to office policies started coming back. Not everywhere, not every company, but enough to change the math. If your employer now says you need to be in the office 2 or 3 days a week, Miami no longer works the same way. So some of the people leaving are not rejecting Miami. Their jobs changed, their flexibility changed, and the reason they came here no longer existed. And this is where buyers have to be honest with themselves. Are you choosing Miami because your life is truly built for it? Or are you choosing Miami because it worked for a temporary season? During the pandemic, some people moved first and figured it out later. In 2026, the better buyer is doing the opposite. They're figuring it out first, then moving. That is a healthier market. And quick note here, if you are trying to figure out whether Miami actually makes sense for your lifestyle, my Miami relocation guide is linked below. It's a simple starting point before you start shopping neighborhoods seriously. Now, the third reason people left is more about lifestyle. And this one is important. Some people did not leave Miami because they hated Miami. They left because they realized they did not need Miami proper. They wanted space, a quieter pace, a lower monthly cost, maybe less traffic. And once remote work became normal, or once their stage changed, they realized they could live somewhere else and still keep some version of South Florida lifestyle. That might mean Broward, it might mean Palm Beach County, or another Florida market entirely. And this is not necessarily a negative story about Miami. It is a fit story. Miami is not for everyone. And even people who love Miami may eventually want a different version of Florida. I see this with families all the time. When someone is single or newly married, you want the restaurants, you want the energy, you want walkability, you want nightlife. Then life changes. Kids come into the picture. School becomes important. Space becomes important. Noise matters more. Parking matters more. The elevator starts to annoy you. The dog needs a yard. And suddenly, the same place that felt exciting starts to feel inefficient. That is not Miami failing. That is life changing. And if you do not adjust your housing choice to your life's change, you can end up frustrated. This is why I say Miami is sorting. Some people are moving out because the city no longer fits them. Others are moving in because it fits them perfectly. Both can be true at the same time. Now let's talk about the part of the headline does not tell you. Who is staying and who is actually doing well here? Because this is where the story gets more interesting. The people staying in Miami right now tend to understand what Miami is. They are not moving here because they think it's cheap. They're not moving here because they think every neighborhood is the same. They're not moving here because they watched a few videos and saw palm trees. They're moving here because Miami gives them something specific. Tax positioning, international access, business opportunity, lifestyle, weather, family connections, cultural fit, and a sense that Miami is still early in its next chapter compared with other global cities. For the right person, this is powerful. A high-income professional coming from New York may look at Miami and say, cost is high, but the tax structure is better. The lifestyle is better. The weather is better. The business environment is improving, and I can live in a global city without being in the Northeast anymore. An entrepreneur may look at Miami and say, this is where my network is growing. This is where capital is moving. This is where international clients are comfortable. A family may say, we want a different pace. We want private school options. We want year-round outdoor living. We want to be near the water. We want to be close to Latin America. We want our kids to grow up in an international environment. For those people, Miami still works. But it works because they're choosing it intentionally. Not emotionally, not impulsively, intentionally. And that is what separates people who thrive here from people who leave frustrated. And that clarity matters. So who is Miami right for in 2026? Let me give you my honest answer. Miami is right for high-income professionals who want a global city with no state income tax and are prepared for the real cost of living. It is right for entrepreneurs who value access to Latin America, international capital, and a fast-moving business culture. It's right for families who are intentional about schools, neighborhood fit, and lifestyle. It's right for buyers who want year-round outdoor living and are willing to pay for the convenience, weather, and access. It's right for people who are not looking for the cheapest version of Florida, but the most strategic version for their life. And if that sounds like you can call or text me at 954-629-9952. Now, who's Miami not right for? It's probably not right for someone who's extremely budget sensitive and wants to live in the most desirable areas without making trade-offs. It is not right for someone who hates traffic and refuses to plan their life around location. It is not right for someone who really wants a small town feel and deep community immediately. That is the honest answer. Miami is not a universal solution. It is a very specific opportunity, And for the right buyer, it is still one of the most compelling markets in the country. For the wrong buyer, it can be an expensive mistake. That is why I do not like blanket statements like everyone is leaving Miami or everyone should move to Miami. Both are lazy. The truth is more specific. So my verdict is this: Miami still makes sense in 2026 if you're moving here with a clear reason, a strong financial footing, and a realistic understanding of the trade-offs. People leaving Miami is not the whole story. The real story is that Miami is becoming more selective. It is not for everyone, but for the right person, it may be exactly the right move. If you're seriously considering Miami, my Miami relocation guide is linked below. I'm Milton Andrade with Polaris Advisors at Compass. This is Miami Living with Milton, and I will see you in the next video.